I was going to ask a question about what's the number? How many additional storage facilities, long-term repositories do we need? And as I'm thinking about that, it's like, well, we don't know because of exactly what you have said, Mr. Wagner, moving forward. What will the future of nuclear bring to us in terms of advanced nuclear and the prospect for less waste? We've talked about reprocessing. I think we know what we know today, but the innovation I think that is out there is still evolving, if you will. The view into the deep boreholes. We may be looking at Yucca as, okay, this is the design for what we needed 20 years ago, but is it the design that we need going forward? And so I think we need to factor that into the calculus. The question for those of you who have looked at the legislation that we've laid down here as basically as our working document, do you think we do enough in this proposed legislation to be specific about the type of research and development that DOE or the administration needs to move forward on? Do we need to do more in that? We've been talking so much about this whole consent based process and the interim and moving to permanent. We haven't really talked about some of the context of this bill that can move the industry forward. Do we have enough in there? Do we need to do more? Mr. Norton?
Yes, Senator, if I could. Madam Chairman, a couple things I wanted to reflect on in your question. And I had this conversation with Maria's predecessor, Marv Fertel, probably 6 or 7 years ago, when my sites and the other decommissioning plant coalition sites, at the time there was 5 of us, were kind of the poster children of this problem, right? We've operated the plant, we've decommissioned the plant, we're waiting. And I told him at that point in time there was less focus on it, both at NEI and the industry than there is today. But I did tell him on the path we're at then, and potentially the path we're on now, more than 50% of our nuclear fleet will be in the same condition I'm in before we solve this problem if we keep trying the same thing we've been trying for the last 20 years. And I don't think he believed me, but if he was watching it today, with the number of plants that have either shut down or announced shutdown, my estimate's not going to be far off, even if we get moving from here. And so it is a clear problem. It is a clear issue. I think Senate 1234, although we have comments and would make recommendations on changes, is a good starting point for us to work together to figure out how to resolve this problem, because what we have been doing for the last 20 years is not going to work. And would also like to acknowledge my senator from Maine, Senator King, and his question about, are we really thinking about this the right way? And I think that needs to be asked. And I know there's scientists and others that may have a difference of opinion here. But I do think we have to challenge ourselves as to, did we really plot the right course with our original plan for repository, and is there an alternative way to think about this by consolidating this waste, looking at either reprocessing or other technical advancements, other options that other countries are looking at, and take the blinders off and look at this more holistically.
Appreciate that. Mr. Schmidt?
Sorry. Senator, I'd just like to add a couple of things. One is American Nuclear Society does support continued research into advanced nuclear energy systems and advanced waste management techniques. There's actually private companies out there that are working in this area as well. I think the question of where that needs to reside, whether it's in your bill or in other legislation, is a good question. I think the work that John Wagner and others are doing at Idaho is they are looking at advanced energy systems in a holistic manner that includes the waste management issue, and I think they need to continue that work.
Got it. Mr. Fettis?
And Senator, the Blue Ribbon Commission wisely cautioned against trusting in reprocessing as any meaningful solution for our nuclear waste. And the off-ramp, it's past time for the off-ramp on recycling of spent fuel in this country. It's both dangerous, proliferation and security concerns. It creates more waste, and it will not solve the waste problem, and no country has used it to solve their waste problem. And most of all, it's economical, and the BRC identified that it likely never will be.
Dr. Wagner, you want to comment to that?
Well, I just comment that, yeah, we don't currently recycle because it's not economical. One of the many benefits talked about with respect to consolidated interim storage is that whether in time it becomes economical with the substantial growth in nuclear energy or other technologies for waste disposal and design of repositories come into play, a consolidated interim storage facility allows you to make progress to move forward on this issue while some of those other things may or may not come to be other options for the material.